Hi and welcome back to Canada Top to Bottom and the next in our series on language tests explained. Today we're going to be talking you through the TEF test step by step, which is one of the 2 French tests available for immigration to Canada. Language tests are a big part of Canadian immigration because if you want to move to Canada permanently, you will have to take a language test in English or French, even if one of them is your first language and you have absolutely no choice in the matter. It's frustrating, but if your first language is English or French, the upside is that you will probably find the test quite easy.
To immigrate to Canada permanently, there are 4 language tests available, 2 for English and 2 for French. In this series, we have videos on all 4 of these tests, so check out our other videos on IELTS, CELPIP and the TCF for a full breakdown of the other 3 tests available. You only need to take a test in one of the languages, but if you take both, it may provide you with more points. During our very lengthy immigration process to Canada, I took all 4 of these language tests, so I am able to speak from experience when I talk you through what each one involves and what to expect.
All language tests are valid for 2 years and the level you are required to attain will depend on which immigration program you're applying through. You can click on the link in the description box below to see what the language requirements are for the 3 economic immigration programs. You may have taken an English test as your first official language and are looking to take a French test simply to gain extra points, in which case there is no specific level you need to achieve. Simply, the higher your grade, the more points you'll get.
Right, so let's get started on what the TEF test involves. To begin with, the TEF stands for Test d'Évaluation Français. It's an official French language test to provide proof of French language skills. During the test, you'll be tested on all 4 competencies: speaking, listening, reading and writing, which are rather confusingly also known as oral expression, oral comprehension, written comprehension and written expression, respectively. The test is around 3 hours long and you have to sit them all 4 parts on the same day. TEF tests can be taken in most countries throughout the world and will be completed in a variety of different locations, from official test centres to French institutes or a university campus. You may be the only person in the testing room, or you may be in a room full of other students. It really depends on the location and the time of year. The formality of the test can also vary, depending on the size of the establishment. One of the French tests I took was in a room with 6 other students, and one examiner sitting at the front of the room who just sat quietly while we all wrote our tests, and another, I was the only person taking the test, so it was just me and the examiner. French is much less common as a language than English, so it's more likely that there will be fewer candidates than an equivalent English test.
There are currently 2 versions of TEF Canada, paper-based and computer-based, so again, depending on where you take your test, your TEF test might be a paper-based version, or if you're taking it at an authorised testing centre, you might be taking the eTEF Canada computerised version of the test. Regardless of whether your test is paper-based or electronic, the question format will be the same and the way you revise and practice for the test will not change.
Right, let's look at each section of the test, starting with the speaking part. This is of course testing your ability to communicate and understand French. And the best part is that these 2 sections will always follow the same format. The speaking test is split into 2 sections, A and B, and will last a total of 15 minutes. It will be an in-person test, so you will be speaking directly to the examiner. Section A is the shorter section, lasting just 5 minutes, and will be based on you being able to ask questions to obtain information about something. For example, you may be shown an advert for an employer looking for staff, and you need to call them to ask for more information on the job. Or you may have seen a flyer advertising an activity you're interested in, and you have to call to ask for more details about it.
Section B is twice as long at 10 minutes and will be using persuasive language to present a document to the examiner to try and convince them of something. For example, convincing your friend that they should apply for a position you've seen advertised, or that they should enrol in a language course. Of course, the examiner is the friend you are trying to persuade and will always push back and not be keen, so you should make sure you have brushed up on useful, persuasive vocabulary.
For both these sections, you will not know in advance what the topic of the conversation will be about, but they will always be asking for further information and trying to persuade someone. so this is a really useful starting point for where to focus your revision and your vocabulary.
Now for the listening test, which assesses your ability to understand spoken French by listening to audio clips. There are 4 sections with 60 multiple choice questions, and the test lasts around 40 minutes. The first section has 8 questions on understanding the gist of a conversation. The next section has 26 questions on understanding short messages, for example, answer phone messages or public announcements. Then there are 16 questions on understanding what's happening in an interview, and finally there are 10 questions on recognizing where the audio would be heard, for example, in a school, at a train station, in a concert venue, and so on.
Just like the speaking section, the format of the listening test will always be the same. So the more practice questions you can do, the better. The best way of practicing for this part of the test is to listen to as much French as possible in as many different genres, such as French radio, news broadcasts, podcasts, and stories.
The reading section assesses your ability to read and understand written French. It contains 4 sections with 50 multiple choice questions and lasts for 1 hour. The questions increase in difficulty, with the first 10 questions being based on simple documents such as flyers or advertisements. The next 25 questions are related to newspaper articles, which are much longer, and there may be 3 or 4 questions related to one text. The next 10 are testing how well you understand the organisation of a text, so you will see 4 short sentences and you need to put them in the right order so that they make sense as a paragraph. And the final 5 questions are on how well you understand the meaning of a phrase. For example, when someone says a short colloquial phrase like "Je vous en prie," what do they actually mean? This is, again, multiple choice, so if you don't really know, you can just take a wild guess, because you don't lose any points for wrong answers.
Finally, the writing section contains 2 sections, Section A and Section B, and lasts 1 hour. In Section A, you will be given the beginning of an article, which you have to finish. You need to write at least 80 words for this section, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a skill to showcase how good your writing is in just 80 words. You will be given a very short extract from a newspaper article with a headline and the initial few lines describing the news story. You need to write another couple of paragraphs briefly telling the rest of the story in at least 80 words.
Section B is the longest section and requires you to write at least 200 words. This section carries more points, and you'll need to express your point of view and justify your opinions, so you can practice using language such as "in my opinion" and "I believe that." You will be given a short phrase or extract which states an opinion. You need to write a letter in response of at least 200 words justifying whether you agree or disagree with the statement and explaining why. And within it, develop at least 3 arguments to defend your point of view. Examples of statements are: social networks present a permanent danger to children, or access to cultural activities such as cinemas and theatres should be free.
It's worth noting that you shouldn't expect your test results too soon after taking the test. Your TEF results will be sent to the testing centre within 15 business days after the test date, and then the testing centre will send the results to each candidate. For reasons unknown, this can take anything from 4 to 6 weeks to get to you.
So those are the 4 sections of the TEF French test. We hope this has been useful in helping you prepare for the TEF exam. Of course, practicing French is a very important part of preparation, but you will also feel much more confident going into the exam if you know what type of questions to expect and which topics you might face. There are some excellent books to help you prepare for the exam, as well as online tutorials, apps, and sample papers. All of these are listed on the preparation page of the website, and we've linked this in the description box below. Also on the official website for the TEF test, there are some fantastic preparation videos, including sample questions, walking you through information on each part of the test and really giving you a good idea of what the questions will look like.
I found revising for the TEF exam quite stressful, but found that the more time and effort I put into practicing and revising, the more confident I felt. I found doing sample test papers especially useful, as I knew exactly what to expect on test day. Let us know if you are planning on taking the TEF test and how your preparations are going.
We release new videos every Wednesday and Sunday, so don't forget to hit subscribe on your way out, and we'll see you next time.